Hello folks, it's Connie Brower from Falmouth, Nova Scotia. Today is June the 5th, 2014. I would like to discuss with you something incredible that happened in Canada recently on May 28th, 2014 is doomsday for Canadian families. Canadian families are doomed forever. Why? Because the House of Commons had a vote on Bill C-560. C-560 would have reformed the Divorce Act from a sole custody order, court order, to equal shared parenting orders. That means right now in Canada, and for the longest time, the judges have given sole custody court orders, which means that one parent gets it all, makes all the decisions, and the other parent gets nothing. And they just pay. That's their only role in the raising of their children, is they have to pay. They can't even find out where their children are. They don't have any authority to do anything with their children. This is unconstitutional. This violates the Charter of Rights. So I'm going to read you a letter that has gone out to all the politicians, that I sent out to all the politicians. Thanks to all who voted for Bill C-560. Those who didn't, resign now. Go to www.resignnow.info. The day Canadian families were doomed forever. We very much appreciate the hard work that went into presenting the Equal Shared Parenting Amendment to the Divorce Act. We thank all those dedicated and hardworking MPs who voted in favor of the bill. Kudos to you for doing the right thing. For 22 years and still ongoing, we suffered the most heinous crimes against us by the incompetent judiciary and the Government of Canada for being a parent in Canada. We had extremely high hopes that this private member's bill, C-560, would pass and our torture would finally end. But no, it was not to be. 174 to 80, with 49 abstaining members, voted against the most fair, reasonable, and humane end to the torture of Canadian families. Any reasonable person would have voted for Bill 560. Abstaining means no. Go to resignnow.info. Excuse me. Why? Why did these members of Parliament vote against this humane bill that is so fair and so obvious that any reasonable person would have voted for this bill? It is clear that MPs who voted against the bill voted along some hidden agenda party line. It is clear that the MPs who voted against the bill voted in favor of the continued abuse of families by the Canadian Bar Association for the purpose of profits. This unelected and unaccountable organization preys on non-custodial parents and their children to earn ever-increasing profits until that family has been emotionally and financially wiped out forever. It is clear that the MPs who voted against the bill did not consider the guaranteed Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Folks, the Canadian Guaranteed Charter of Rights and Freedoms is the law in Canada. And if you don't vote and you don't implement legislation that follows this law, you are in violation of it. That Section 28, notwithstanding anything in this charter, the rights and freedoms referred to it are guaranteed equally to male and females. The Divorce Act is not equal, so it's violating the charter. It is clear that the MPs who voted against the bill disregarded Section 52 of the Charter, which states that 52 is the Constitution Act of 1982. The Constitution of Canada is the supreme law of Canada, and any law that is inconsistent with the provisions of the Constitution is to the extent of the inconsistency of no force or effect. So how does the Divorce Act continue to spawn sole custody orders when it violates the Constitution of Canada? It is clear that the MPs who voted against the bill disregarded Section 52 of the Charter. I just read that. This section of the Constitution gives the courts the power to rule that a particular law is not valid if it violates the Charter, which is itself part of the Constitution. While Section 52.1 is not part of the Charter, it provides courts with an important power to strike down the laws that violate Charter rights. The Divorce Act should be stricken down. If only parts of the law violate the Constitution, only that part will be ruled invalid. That's the law, folks. That's the Constitution of Canada. That's what our legal rights are based on. It is clear that the MPs who voted against the bill intentionally intended to keep an unconstitutional law and unconstitutional implementation of that bill established in Canada. It is clear that the MPs who voted against the bill didn't give a damn about the inhumane suffering of us and all the people, single, separated, living common law, divorced, who are being denied their parental rights and their children's rights every day by sole custody judges who do not adjudicate fairly or constitutionally. Folks, the U.S. is way ahead of us, way ahead of Canada in this regard. They do not allow this kind of nonsense to go on in their courts. It is clear that the MPs who voted against the bill do not consider non-custodial parents as human beings deserving of raising their own children. You showed us, MPs, you showed us that families in Canada don't matter. It is clear that the MPs who voted against the bill have doomed us all to hell. We will all be divided from our families, all of us. Any family, any court, legal litigation will be divided. They will lose their families forever. It is clear that the MPs who voted against the bill have voted in favor of apartheid, an odious third world order, rather than passing a bill that would ensure the best interests of the child actually be enforced and not paid government lip service that means nothing but profits. Obviously, what's in the best interest of the child is to be raised by both loving parents. That is the most obvious thing, folks. But no, the MPs didn't rule in favor of raising children by two loving parents. It is clear that the MPs who voted against the bill have voted in favor of mothers' exclusive rights to dominate fathers and to violate their children's rights to continue to be their father's children and to share their lives with them. That's what they voted for. That the exclusive rights of mothers rule over everything and everybody, and fathers have no rights. That's what your MP voted for. It is clear that the MPs who voted against the bill have no regard for their own families, who are most certainly victims of divorce or separation at some time or another. There isn't a person in Canada who is not affected by a divorce in family. Even if you have a very loving family and you don't think divorce is ever possible, think again, because divorce is always possible. And if your family doesn't have a divorce, then your children's family will have a divorce, or your children's relatives will have a divorce, or your relatives, or your friends. Every family is affected by divorce. Every family. It's impossible to be step outside the box and not be affected by it. It is clear that the MPs who voted against the bill have contributed to the national destruction of Canadian families and the violation of the Charter. Again, legal rights, Section 7. Everyone has the right to life, liberty, and the security of the person, and the right not to be deprived thereof, except in accordance with the principle of fundamental justice. Folks, your MP, unless it's those few who did vote for the bill, have voted to deprive you of your liberty and freedom. It is clear that the MPs who voted against the bill have violated the equality rights under the Charter, equality before and under the law, and equal protection and benefit of the law. Section 15.1. I think this is the most important Charter right of all. Section 50. Every individual is equal before and under the law and has the right to equal protection and equal benefit of the law without discrimination, and in particular without discrimination based on race, national or ethnic origin, color, religion, sex, age, or mental or physical disability. Folks, the majority of the MPs voted against that right. They voted against equality. This is slavery, ladies and gentlemen. Slavery. Shame on you, MPs. Shame on you. You are unfit and unconstitutional, and you must resign. If you voted no, then you have to go. Abstinence is a no vote. This was the most important bill in the history of Canada. The repairing of the Divorce Act to equal shared parenting, which would have established the reinstating the parent, the non-custodial parent, usually fathers, but there are mothers. I have actually witnessed in a court of law a judge taking away a baby, a newborn baby, from a mother and a father for no reason at all. No reason. I witnessed it myself. I was in the court, in the Nova Scotia court, and they did that. So if you think judges rule effectively, think again. They are unfair, unbiased people that have no business interfering with the parenthood of our families. We got rid of the divine right of kings a long time ago, but now we have the unaccountable, uncontrollable rule of these judges that systematically violate the parents' rights and the family's rights. This must stop. Never again must we vote for a party or a person who does not intend to establish equal shared parenting rights. And by the way, the Conservative government had that in their platform, and they violated that too. They had it in their platform to have equal shared parenting. Doesn't matter. You know what? This was stated in the Canadian Constitution in 1945. Canada is a member of the UN, and in the UN Declaration of Human Rights and Freedoms, it states that parents have the rights to raise their children during divorce, or during marriage, and after the dissolution of marriage. So Canada is completely, blatantly sexist and discriminatory. And this country needs to act to get their MPs to resign. Go to resign.ca now.info.